Hello again. In this video we are going to go over some of the new features of EasyBuilder Pro version 6. By the way, you will find a link to the software download in the description box below. Some of the new features are a new user interface, improvements to the picture library, and CMT Diagnostics. So let's look at the user interface first. We have made a huge leap in improving the developer's experience by giving EasyBuilder Pro a familiar environment. We are excited to introduce EasyBuilder Pro version 6 featuring an easy-to-follow ribbon design. You may recognize that the layout is similar to Microsoft Office as well as other design software. So let's go ahead and open up an instance of EasyBuilder Pro version 6 and take a look at it. Now, if you're already an EasyBuilder Pro user, you're going to recognize right away there's a big difference. You can see there are two main tabs. There's the Open tab, and you can see recent projects that you may want to use. Then you have the New tab, and you can see that all of the models are separated by series. And also, by the way, you can see we've added a couple new models for the new year. We've got the cMT3072, which is a little smaller than the 3090, but just as powerful. We also added the cMT HDMI, very similar to the MTV, and we added the new gateway, the cMT-G02. We also added a button here as a link to the website for where you can download some demo projects. And then we also made added the uncompress project button here. Lots of times developers want to trade projects back and forth between each other, so they'll compress it into a compressed file, retaining all their current libraries and stuff like that. But we made that a lot more convenient for you too. You can also change the screen orientation right here on this interface. So we'll go ahead and click OK. Now, once you do that, this is very familiar. This is pretty much the same as it used to be, where you can add your PLC drivers or remote HMIs, so on and so forth. This is our system parameter dialog with all these tabs that we're used to. Now you notice the new ribbon design here. We've got a quick access toolbar, and these selected items are available regardless of what tab you're in, so you can just jump over there and click on those. We also have our ribbon tabs, where we can change between the different ribbons we have available. So let's go ahead and start with the Home tab. The developers have designed this tab in the hopes, and they're still experimenting, but in the hopes that 80 to 90% of what you use all the time will be right here available in this tab. And you'll notice that the icons are sized according to their importance. So the ones you go to all the time are going to be a little larger, and the ones that you use a little less are going to be a little smaller. Back to icon sizing, they've also added the smart sizing feature, so that regardless of how large your screen is, all of the icons are available. They just resize. So as you can see here, you can still get to all these different functions and so on and so forth. Next we've got our project tab. As you can see here, a lot of your project wise objects are in here. We've got our recipe records and all of our libraries. We've got our download and simulation functions here, compile, font management, so on and so forth. We've got our object tab, which contains all of the objects. So in other words, if let's say you had a hard time finding what you wanted right here and weren't quite familiar with all the icons just yet, you can go to the object tab, and each icon actually has text attached to it, so it makes it a little easier to figure out what the different objects are. Under the data history tab, of course, you'll find all the data logging and in history type objects. We've got our IOT and energy stuff here. I encourage you to look into all the stuff we're doing with MQTT and OPCUA, as well as the IoT. Really cool stuff there. We've got our view tab here. We can toggle on and off the things we want to show on our screen. If you were a version 5 or previous user, you'll realize that this is a lot easier than it used to be. So it's a really nice feature that we have here. And then of course we've got our tools tab. This ribbon contains all of our external tools that were historically sort of grouped in under the object tab and so on and so forth. They were and mixed in with the other icons, and sort of cumbersome to get to some of them, but a lot more available now. So anyway, let's move on to our picture library. We introduced this new format sometime late in version 5, and it's been working really well, and of course we incorporated it into here, as well as some new aspects and features of it. If you're familiar with our picture libraries, we've got thousands of different objects to pick from, and they've added a lot recently. They've really beefed up all these libraries. They've got a lot of industry specific libraries as well. Yeah, they've done a great job, and I did want to mention that that all of the pictures in our libraries were created by Weintek, so there's no there are absolutely no copyright issues on anything that you guys push out in your HMIs, so on and so forth. So anyways, I've got I've got a short video I want to play that was done by our developers that shows the power of our libraries. So we'll go ahead and run it. So we're going to add a boiler in here from our picture library, one of our many objects we have, and add some standard pipes that we've got. Now on these pipes, they've actually taken a great deal of care and precisely calculated the angle of the individual pre-made items so they'll actually connect perfectly. And as I said, there's no copyright issues on any of these objects, so you can create these beautiful projects and push them out, and they'll be totally customized and yours. And I am really impressed with the job they've done on these libraries. They've added all these back plates for switches. They've added quite a few 2 and 3 position switches, push buttons. I'm very happy with what we can create now from these projects. So anyway, let's move on to some more live demonstrations on the libraries. They've added this feature also late in version 5, so we'll go ahead and talk about it now. We've got, of course, we've got all our different libraries here, but what we did is we've made it a little easier to actually work with the program and change large numbers of items all at once. So rather than having to go into the properties of each one and then under the shape tab and into the library and all that like we did in version 5, now we can just select all the ones we want to change, take that one out, and change them all at once. We also added this feature. Let's say that you're having a hard time remembering where which library a particular object is in. You can just right click it and jump to the selected library, and that particular library will come up. On our standard libraries like this, we also made them customizable, so you can actually change the color of the whole group of objects. So you can actually do that dynamically. Come over here, copy and paste that one, and you got a green and a red light. So that's a pretty cool feature. We made that a lot easier to navigate and faster to go through. Of course, you've got your icon right here for your library browser. So another great feature of the recent libraries are that embedded library objects are in SVG format. So in other words, they're a vector image. So regardless of the size that you made it, it's going to retain the same resolution that it had, and that's very handy, especially when you're changing projects from one size screen to another, so on and so forth. You don't have to go in and redo all your graphics to make them look good. We also now support the Microsoft clipboard for our image objects, and I'll give you a quick demonstration on that. Here I've just got an image of our logo, so I'll copy, then come over to our project, and we simply do a paste. And you'll notice that this dialog comes up here, and we can do a couple of things. We can change the ratio by percentage or keep the ratio the same. We can define a transparent color. Here it's white, so now the background's gone. Pretty cool stuff. And just click OK, and it's in your project. That makes it a lot easier rather than having to go in and actually add it into your library. But now that's in your project library, so it can be called on throughout your project to be used for other things, so on and so forth. Just one other great feature that we've added in version 6. That about does it for the libraries. I encourage you to go in and look at all of the new objects that we've got available, and just play with libraries and see what you can do. It's so powerful, it's more than I can cover in this one short video. Last but not least, CMT Diagnostics support. In the past, the CMT platform was lacking a diagnostics tool. Everything else we had in our arsenal, you could run Easy Diagnoser and actually look at background values that were coming through to your objects and whatnot. But we didn't have that capability on the CMT platform because, well, honestly, because it was so cutting edge, and still is, that we had to actually create a custom tool for it. So now what we've done, we've embedded it into the CMT viewer. This is our little CMT demo project that is shipped with the product. So I'm going to go ahead and run an offline simulation to demonstrate how this works. Well, I'll start out with, in the past, let's say that there was something going on, you couldn't navigate to a certain screen because a value wasn't showing up or something like that. You may have to go in and add a navigation button to your project to navigate to that screen, or a PLC control object or something like that, so you could actually get to that screen. So now we've added the Diagnoser. You just right click and click on Diagnoser. And if you see, there's two main tabs. We've got our Objects tab and our Macro tab. And we've got a current window drop-down list. So right now we're on window 15, obviously, or that's our startup screen. We can go down and choose another screen if we wanted to out of our project right here. So let's find our cheese factory home page. So we just select it and we navigate directly to that particular page. As you can see, here are all the graphic objects that are on that page, and you can see at a glance all of their attributes and the actual value. You can actually not only see the value, but you can change it if you want to. So pretty cool stuff. Got all these different windows we can navigate to. We can actually even on the Macro tab, we can go in and look through all the active macros that we have in this library and actually execute the macros if we desire. Pretty cool, powerful stuff. But anyway, that's our CMT Diagnostics tool. It works great, and it's a big additional to our arsenal. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and encourage you to navigate to our website and download a latest copy of this. There should be a link on the screen, and of course in the description below. Thanks for watching, and be sure to come back and see more of our instructional videos.